to lead the Skol chant and sound the Yeller horn, please welcome the 31st Adjutant General of the Minnesota National Guard, Major General John Jensen.
Well, hello, this is John Randall, Minnesota Vikings legend, and it is my pleasure to say, Minnesota Vikings fans uncensored, are you ready? Keith, get your people up. Let's go. Skol, 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 baby. Let's go.
Hello, Vikings fans. Welcome to the Let's Skol Show. I'm Fish. Tonight with me, I've got Hey Who Grease with Smoke, Skoleful Shack. Keith's doing his Keith stuff in the background, getting us started. He'll be with us shortly. I think Cody's going to be MIA tonight. He's got some family business he's going to take care of. Welcome to our 22nd off-season show of the year. We're going to be here every week during the off-season, getting through this abyss together. And tonight, we have some Skol news. We are 88 days away from the Vikings opening game. Mandatory minicamp was this week. Should the Vikings make a move for a now ex-Packer? One Viking from the past 10 seasons that could improve this team, around the Gallahorn, and hot takes. We're also going to have the lines open all show for those who want to come on and give some takes. But first, let's start out with something fun. Shaq.
What's that?
Who was a Viking from your childhood? Well, maybe wasn't necessarily a star, but was one of your favorite players for one reason or another.
So for me, I have to say I wanted to go with Sidney Rice, but I feel like that year he went off. He was a star for that year. I'm about to go with somebody else, and I'm gonna choose Bernard Berrien, former Chicago Bear turned Viking. The reason I liked him was because ever since Randy Moss left us, we lacked that deep threat able. And from that time period, we never really had a receiver who could be like a number 2 or number 1. We kind of had we had receivers, but we didn't have really a go-to receiver. And then into Bernard Berrien and Tavares Jackson and Gus Frerotte. So I'll never forget that year, especially that 99-yard touchdown. It's unfortunate when we got Brett Favre, they didn't really get a good connection, but
I forget how young Shaq is, and hearing his childhood players be Sidney Rice and Bernard Berrien, it's like,
I was like, I was married, I had kids.
Yeah, right. But then you got T-Bat saying Ahmad Rashad, so that makes me feel a little bit better.
Who you got,
What's
Keith?
up, Lucy, Tommy, Gil, T-Bat,
Skol, everybody. Well, I'm going to go real old for you. Well, not real old, but I'm going to go pretty old for you guys. Here's a name. Here's no. Because in the spirit of this exercise, it's a non-star. Try this name off his size. Kirk Loudermilk.
Okay.
is that really his last name?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And he was our center from 1985 to 1992.
Yeah, I remember him from early 90s, like barely. What drew you to him?
Pretty solid.
I mean, I know you're a trenches guy. Was there something like that drew you to him?
Yeah, he was just solid. See, because when he was playing, I was in high school. And there's a lot of these military brat kids coming through who were San Francisco 49er fans because the 49ers were rolling back then. And so, we just talk a lot of shit. And so it really made me kind of dig into who the team was at that point in time, and I mean, I could have said Dolman, I could have said Millard, or even Henry Thomas, but I said, wait a minute, ain't nobody getting past Loudermilk. Loudermilk was pretty solid. He just never got any of the props.
You know what? That's good, though. I mean, center, if you're not getting props, but you're not getting talked about either, that's good. That means you're doing your job. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes for a center.
I hope we don't never hear Ryan Kelly's name this entire season. Not once.
And not because he's out the whole season, right?
I was about to say it. And there we go.
I had to get out the way before Fish did it. So funny, Tommy said. Look what Tommy said. That's fucking funny.
Oh shit, we've been hacked.
Northfius, what's up, man? Hey, Tommy, stay tuned with that. Stay tuned with this. Like, I don't know. I think you got some insider information. For me, it's David Palmer. And unfortunately, he's from Alabama. Where's Robbie? Not here. Good. But what I liked about him, he played wide receiver and he played running back for us. Like, he kind of played both positions, and he was a kick returner, and he was a little dude, and I was a little dude. And I was playing football, and I wanted to believe that I could still go to the NFL. And I was like, he showed me, like, you know what? The size doesn't matter. If you got the talent, then you can get there. Unfortunately, I didn't have the talent, but still, he had me believing that it was possible. So I really I enjoyed him playing. Muelde Moore, Bob Sweet said, that's another one that I really liked. But David Palmer was before him. And
he says, I'm David Palmer, then he got decleated.
I got one. I got another one. Hussein Abdullah, the safety.
Oh my!
The reason I brought him up was because he was actually a low key ball hawk for us. I think like when we still had Antoine Winfield, back when he was in his older years, he was slowing down. Hussein Abdullah stepped up for us, catching picks for us.
So Northfius, we're talking about players that you liked from your childhood, but they weren't necessarily like stars for the team. I think Sammy White and Tommy Kramer, fall under star for the Vikings, at least. Maybe not NFL stars, but definitely Viking stars.
See, the thing about being a fan where, as a kid, like in the 70s and then
Travis.
The 80s, Skol, Travis, everybody was stars in those teams. It's like, man, everywhere you looked on those damn teams, they were stars.
The Wizinator. Bob, he's a big what if on Terrell Smith because he looked really good that one season he got to play. Angel Dust, Terry Allen. Terry Allen was freaking awesome, and that's a good
Terry
pick.
Allen was good.
I definitely could have gone Terry Allen. The first game I ever went to was a Vikings and Rams game. I believe it was 1992, might have been 91. But Terry Allen had 3 touchdowns that game. So left a big impression on me. I like Terry Allen. I think that might have been like his first start. And it was, I think, Sean Salisbury's first start in that game. But yeah, Terry Allen, that's a good one. John Randall, come on. John Randall's a Hall of Famer, Timmy. Dig deeper. Skol, though. What's up, Nick? Nick with Muelde Moore.
How about
I think Muelde Moore is a fan favorite.
Rasante Shenko. You think he'd be under the star category, or will he fit the mold?
I think he fits the mold. He's more known for his locker room video than on the field. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go look it up.
I think I know what you're
saying. You probably don't want to.
I don't want to. I think I know.
Rasante.
Chris Walsh, that's a good one. Chris Walsh is badass. He was one of those scrappy players on the special teams. Once in a while, got in there as a receiver. I like Chris Walsh. Definitely part of my childhood. Who? T-Bass. I feel like you made this name up. Jarvis Redwine? I think he's just waiting to see someone to say, like, oh, yeah, I remember him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
Jarvis wet.
Except Northfield backed it up, so I guess we're just stupid.
Wow.
Hopefully we get to 22 days away. Leroy Hord's a beast. You need 1, I'll get you 3. You need 5, I'll get you 3.
From Michigan, which means Robbie loved him at the time.
He wasn't watching yet. That'd been like early 90s. Corey Chavis. I like Corey Chavis. He was like more of a star, I think, for the Cardinals, and then he came over. I was stoked when he got him. And then we turned him from a corner to a safety. I like Corey Chavis. I like Corey Fuller, too. One of my favorite highlights is when he decleated Antonio Freeman, made him fumble that ball. It's one of the greatest hits I've ever seen. Jarvis Redwine was a running back out of Nebraska. Well, is this the 70s, T-Bass? Or definitely wasn't the 80s, man.
Mm-mm.
I feel like, I didn't really start watching until like 88, 89 when I was like 6, 7 years old. But like I know the names of the guys from the 80s. 70s, you can get me all day. Michael Bennett, man. Michael Bennett would have been a beast in the NFL now. I think he was ahead of his time for the way he played the position. Like, he would have been a good pass catching dude at speed. He was like a track star. Back-to-back defensive touchdowns in a preseason game. Oh, man. That's semi-recent, right, T-Bass?
He talking about Michael Audi Cole.
Audi Cole. That's the name. That's what I was thinking of. Was it Audi Cole, T-Bass?
It's 1 to 2. I know they both went to Penn State.
Cole never really made it onto the regular squad, though, right? Like, I think he might have been on there, but like never really made an impact.
All right, so Redwine played for the Vikings from 81 to 83.
Well, I was born 82, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace. All right, so, yeah, it seems like a lot of people like the running backs. Come on, Tommy. I mean, Mo Williams, he was cool, but, I mean, I don't think he's really anybody's favorite. I mean, he has one of the most famous plays in Vikings history, though, courtesy of Randy Moss.
I've seen a different take on that play.
Yeah, we'll be seeing that in about a week, surfacing again, seeing what it can do now. But yeah, Mo Williams was the one who caught that backwards throw from Randy Moss for a touchdown right before halftime. That's definitely one of the most famous plays in Vikings history.
Wasn't that like right at the end of the half too?
It was going into half. Yeah. So that's why I had nothing to lose. Culpepper just rolled out, chucked that thing up there, and Moss caught it and had the mind to freaking throw it back. That was awesome.
Unfortunately, I think in this day and age, he would have been called down because his forward progress was stopped before he got rid of it.
I don't know.
It depends.
I don't know.
Do they like us or not? They usually get the
well,
like.
If that's the criteria, Shaq, he would have been down.
I'm just saying.
Do they like us or not?
You get a couple extra seconds to see you move forward.
All right, fellas. So we are now 88 days away from the Vikings' first game. And to me, that really doesn't sound that far away. Like, I don't know if maybe we're doing the show every week, so it kind of keeps like the season going. But 88 days doesn't seem that far away. But what we're going to do every week is kind of look at the players who wore those numbers of how many days we are away. And 88 wasn't worn by that many players, mostly because one of the greatest football players ever wore that number for the Vikings and had it retired. But you got T-Bass in here, Northfield. I was going to say, I'm going to bet that most of you guys never even heard of these players that wore 88 until Alan Page. You got Charlie Ferguson, Bob Lacey, Don Hasselbeck, Mark May, Marty McDowell, Fred Murphy. School me, T-Bass. How great were all these players?
The greatest one ever from 85 to 86. Last one. No, Mark May was the last one to wear it, huh?
Who?
Mark May was the last one to wear it.
Man, is that a typo? So I'm pretty sure it was Busta Rhymes last one to wear it. I have to double check that.
So you tell me y'all don't know Fred Murphy?
Nah, tell us about him, Shaq. Tell us about Fred Murphy.
He played for us in 1961.
What position was that again?
Well, you know, back in the day, they didn't really have position. It was positionless.
Oh, it was positionless football.
It was all strong, right?
They just got in a huddle and like, okay, you're gonna go to the running back. You're gonna be the receiver on this one. Yeah,
you know,
obviously
that's where B-Flow got the idea for his defense.
Yeah, from Fred Murphy's positionless football in 1961.
That's why he doesn't need a nose tackle.
Tommy, we're still not there yet. But so 88, of course, that's Alan Page, who had a freaking great career. And like we talked a lot about Jim Marshall last week, you know, because he passed away, unfortunately. But going through Alan Page's accolades and then looking back at Jim Marshall's like, okay, well, I can kind of see why one is a for sure Hall of Famer and maybe why the other one's, you know, struggling a little bit, even though I definitely believe Jim Marshall deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Alan Page left no doubt about it. Played 11 and a half seasons for the Vikings, and then he went to the Bears for 3.5 years, where he was still a productive player. He played for them for 3.5 years and still had 40 sacks for them. So he was still a good player. But 5-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler. In 1971, he was the Defensive Player of the Year and the MVP. Wow. He was the first defensive MVP ever, and there's only been 2 in history. Him and Lawrence Taylor got it sometime in the 80s. So that's pretty crazy that we haven't had an MVP on the defensive side of the ball. When you think about the great teams that were built on defense, like was it the 2001 Ravens? The 85 Bears. You got the Ravens that won the Super Bowl with Dilfer as their quarterback. Like it's kind of crazy that we haven't had another defensive MVP. Alan Page was part of the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team, 1970s all-decade team, 50th greatest Viking, Minnesota Vikings 25th and 40th anniversary. So he also played when they didn't really keep count of sacks, but people have gone back and tracked him, and they credit him with 148 and a half sacks, which I believe that puts him like 8th in history, only 2 behind Chris Dolman, who's 7th. So man was a beast, and fittingly, and to David Rinaldi's delight, they retired his jersey number 88 in 1988. I don't know if that was done on purpose or not, but it worked. After playing, he became an attorney and eventually a justice of the Supreme Court. This man is decorated on and off the field. And in 2018, he was awarded the Medal of Freedom by Donald Trump, which is the highest award a civilian can get in the United States.
Wow.
This is the man.
I didn't know you could get a reward from being a civilian. I'm just slacking out here.
Yeah. I'm 58. What'd you know about Alan Page, T-Bass? You want to get on here and tell us something? Alan Page, never the biggest guy.
Yeah, let me go ahead and put the link. I'll put the link in the comments.
You know what? That's funny you said, T-Bass, because like when I was looking for pictures of him to post up, I saw some pictures where he looked kind of like kind of a fat lineman for those days. But then I saw some pictures where he looked really thin. I was like, man, he was dominating the defensive line like that? So it's funny you say that.
All you need is technique, especially back in the day.
Conditioning programs were different back then. Players were wearing shirts with the midriff cut off so you could see their belly button.
What's the greatest thing the Vikings have never done? I would say scam their fans out of money, pretending like they own the team. They never did that. That's pretty great of them to not do that. You have to be a real asshole franchise to scam your fans out of money and make them think they own the team. Steve, you got one of those papers, don't you? You got one. Yeah, he played for the Bears, Tommy. 3.5 years.
40 sacks for the Bears. I mean, can you imagine how much that hurt twice a year to see him line up against us for damn.
Yeah, I don't know how many were against us, but you got to imagine there's at least a handful against us, right?
Well, 3.5
like
seasons, so probably somewhere around 6 or 7 times.
Especially if we had Fran Tarkenton still.
No, 78 Fran was pretty much done.
So who would have thought was a quarterback in the 80s?
All right, let's see. Probably Tommy Kramer or Wade.
You start getting the Kramer.
Okay.
What up, T-Bass?
What's going on, guys? Hey, I a couple years ago, my mom and dad both passed away about 6 months apart, so we were going through some of the house. Mom didn't throw away a lot of stuff, from our childhood stuff up in the attic. There was still it was either mine or my brother's, Ellen Page jersey, for like 12 years. I don't know if you guys remember, but you could order like out of the Sears catalog, like uniform with and it came with a helmet and shoulder pads and
yeah, like
was it number
88? Was it number 88 for that?
Yeah. That's how big of a name he was. I people who don't remember him play, I'm not saying the intensity, but he was kind of like a John Randall. He wasn't a real big guy, but he was just cat-like and got around the blocks and really distributed, just blew up plays just with his quickness. Fortunately, like the Super Bowl against the Dolphins whole game plan was to run right at Alan Page, and they just destroyed. He didn't have the size, to take stuff head on.
Take Larry Zonka down.
Yeah, and that was the Dolphins' whole game plan. The whole game they ran right at Alan Page, right at him and right through him. And then later on in his career, he started running marathons. Defensive lineman was running marathons.
That's crazy.
And he lost a lot of weight. And that's why they got rid of him, because he wasn't the biggest guy in the first place, and then he dropped like another 30 pounds run. Him and Bud Grant didn't see eye to eye a lot of times. I mean, they had respect for each other, but
I could see that because Alan Page is probably like a smarter player than he was used to dealing with as well. I mean, like we saw, Alan Page is obviously very intelligent. He's a well-decorated person, so he probably did have, a big personality as well. So, and I think back then, coach was like, "You don't talk, you listen," and he probably wasn't one of those guys.
Yeah, they overruled, coach.
Yeah, exactly.
They had their feuds, and then Jim Marshall was actually the leader of the team. I think I said last, when Bud Grant wanted to implement something team-wide, he went to Jim Marshall. Like, there's a story about the famous Viking formation. That was how they lined up for the national anthem. Everybody had their helmet in their right hand, and they all stood at attention and stuff. That was Jim Marshall, because Grant went to Marshall and said, "We look like a bunch of clowns out here. I want you to take care of it, and we need to look, professional during the national anthem." So Jim Marshall was in charge of that, and got everybody together. That's just things that Marshall did, by far and away, Page was the better player. I mean, but for Viking fans, I think I said it last week, Jim Marshall is what Viking fans in the 70s thought a football player should be. He embodied everything that Vikings loved about football. Was I wish you guys could have seen those days of them playing outside in the cold.
Oh yeah, dude, I would love to have seen it. I mean, all we got, it pops up like on YouTube. We could kind of watch it, but like just like definitely heard of Alan Page like my whole life because my dad was a Viking fan since the 70s. So like I've heard of him, I've heard stories, but like I try to compare like who was as dominant as him in my lifetime, and you kind of nailed it. Like the only person I can think of would maybe be Joe.
Yeah, I mean there was the one year. I hate this because it held a little more weight back in those days, but I hate even mentioning the Pro Bowl because it's such a freaking joke.
Yeah.
I hate it. But there's one year that all 4 linemen from the Purple People Eaters were the starters in the Pro Bowl. The defensive starting line was the Vikings. All purple.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. All 4 of them were starters.
Yeah, you probably never see that. Well, you're never gonna see a game again, probably. But yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen one team represent the whole line. Tommy, you still here? We lost huge home field advantages playing outside.
That was a big deal for them. I mean, they used to actually try in the Pro Bowl because I think it was something like the winners of the Pro Bowl, each player got $10,000, and that was big money.
Yeah,
which was a lot. They weren't getting paid worth a damn back
right, because they still whenever they were playing, because they still did get paid, but it's like, okay, you win, you get $200,000, and most of those players don't care about $200,000, which is funny.
Yeah, that was a huge paycheck for them, and it was a free vacation to Hawaii, so it was a big deal.
Not to mention the fact that it was a different era where they cared. I mean, they had players who were not going to allow it to be a joke. We're going to play this damn game. I remember, who was it? He was an offensive lineman, Alex Karras. I saw him do an interview where he was talking about the Pro Bowl back then, about how serious it was. And he said the thing is that it was played right after the Super Bowl. So if you were a playoff team and you went deep into the playoffs, you stayed in shape. But if you weren't, then you went home and you kind of fell out of shape. He said, I fell out of shape, but all of a sudden I've got this monster defensive tackle lined up across me that just played last week, and he'd abused the shit out of me in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I think the Pro Bowl was played the week after the Super Bowl, and there was actually the Super Bowl participants would play. Nobody nobody backed out.
That changed. That didn't change for like 20 years ago, maybe, like when they started playing it before. Like that, I remember even in the 90s, it was after.
If you remember, they used to have during the Super Bowl, whoever won, like they'd say, Tom Brady, what are you going to do next? I'm going to Disneyland, and they'd go to the winners would, like, he'd go to Disneyland, and then he'd show up at the Pro Bowl and play the week after the Super Bowl.
And like for me as a kid, before the internet, before satellite TV and stuff, growing up in the Chicago Bears market, I just would lose my mind every chance I could get to see even 3 Vikings play, So it was a big deal watching the Pro Bowl because the stars of the Vikings were on the team, So it was always...
I can relate to that, T-Best. Living in California, I can relate to that. Like when the Vikings would be on TV, that was a huge deal for me. That was like a freaking holiday because it wasn't like today, like where games are, you can stream it somewhere. Like the Vikings might have been on TV 2, maybe 3 times out of the whole season. Like, a Sunday night game, a Monday night game, and maybe one random Sunday game. The way I used to watch the damn games is how you're seeing these words scrolling across the bottom. I'd be watching the scores of, or I'm watching the local game, and you'd see the score change. You'd be like, "What happened? They're losing now, or they're winning now?" And then you got to wait to watch primetime on ESPN and watch the highlights.
Oh well, before ESPN,
you had to wait for the newspaper.
It was no. The big deal was Monday Night Football halftime. Howard Cosell would do like a 30-second clip of each game, the highlights. And that was a big deal, staying up till halftime to watch, because even in those days on the news, they just would put up the score and say some stats. There was no film clips. So, like for me, I was guaranteed to see the Vikings play the Bears twice, being in the Chicago area. And then if they played a Monday night game, but that's usually, your 7-year-old kid or something, you can't stay up for the whole game. And because there's school the next day. And then in those days, the game of the week was always a West Coast game. So if they were out west playing the Rams or somebody, you might get to see them on that NFL game of the week that was nationally televised. It was usually always a West Coast game. The 3:00 slot was the national televised game, and that's all you got for football. I mean, it was different. I kind of miss the days of getting the Vikings report in the mail and having that by the toilet for my crapper read. And that's basically, you weren't just bombarded with, like love them, hate them, or whatever. Sometimes hearing about JJ McCarthy 24/7, practice stats and all that crap gets a little overwhelming to me.
Yeah, I've actually talked to my dad about stuff like that. Like, I feel like we now have too much access. Like, there's just too much news out there. There's too much information. Yeah. It kind of takes like the mystique out of them being like NFL stars. Like, we know everything about their personal lives, and there's videos about them every day. It's almost like too much knowledge. But there's one more 88 that I did want to talk about real quick, and this is why I think Tommy hacked us. Because Tommy is saying Buster Rhymes. I don't think anybody else in the chat was thinking about Buster Rhymes. And the only reason I bring him up because he did wear number 88, and to me he was the last one to wear it. But I guess it was worn in 87 by what's his name for 3 games. But he played 2 seasons for the Vikings. He had a total of 8 catches for 149 yards in those 2 years, which that's a great game.
Look at that.
But he was more. He was more of a kick returner. In his rookie season, he had 62 kick returns for 1,500 yards, which led the NFL in kick returns yards and was the NFL record at the time.
Yeah, I don't have that much memory, but I would have guessed that the Vikings retired Page's number relatively early after he quit the
1988.
game. 1988. There's a lot of guys. There's quite a few who wore that number after him. So
no,
I was shocked on that.
No, just Buster Rhymes, and then what was his name?
Wasn't there a couple other guys on that list?
This Mark May guy played for the Vikings for 3 games after Buster Rhymes, and that was the end of it. So 2 guys.
You know how we've been saying they should retire 84 before they disparage that number anymore? I think that's what happened with 88. You had the great Alan Page, then all of a sudden you got Buster Rhymes, and then you've got Mark May for 3 games, and the Vikings said, before anybody else tries to do anything worse to this number, let's just get it off the table.
It used to drive me nuts seeing Irv Smith Jr. wearing Moss's number. That guy sucked.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's been worse too, but I don't know. I really liked this car as a kid, and I never knew why I liked it so much. I don't know if it was just a stature or what, but I love this card. And like Steve the Packer said, I had a bunch of them too of this card. I don't know. I think Topps just put a lot of Buster Rhymes cards in that set. But he only played with this for 2 years because, unfortunately, he did have drug problems and mental issue problems. You know, going and playing in Canada for a couple years and won a Grey Cup. I tried to find other pictures of him, but really the only picture I could find of him was this card. And the coolest thing about him, I guess, is this is where Busta Rhymes got his name, the rapper. It came from the football player Busta Rhymes. Chuck D of Public Enemy showed him this card, and that was the inspiration of him making his name Busta Rhymes. So if you're a Busta Rhymes fan,
I don't remember him. I don't.
He got his name from a Viking, so that's kind of cool. And Patterson did end up breaking his Viking record of return yards, and he said he was actually happy that Cordell Patterson broke his record because he felt Cordell Patterson was going to be a special player.
Special, really?
He was. I mean, I think we cut bait too early on Patterson.
I think we drafted
Patterson didn't have a bad career. He played in the NFL for what, a good 10, 11 years?
I mean, he's as far as I know, he's still in the NFL. He was on the Steelers last year.
Oh, you know who else still in the NFL? You know who else still in the NFL? Daquan Treadwell.
Don't you say it. Don't you say it.
Yeah, but see, he actually plays. Laquan Treadwell makes teams, and he's on their minicamp and their training camp. Huh?
Treadwell.
Yeah.
Year 10,
but I don't know when the last time he's actually been on a roster during the season.
I mean, there's something about you're good enough to play that long and make an NFL squad. That says something about your talent. You might not be a starter or a superstar, but if you're good enough,
made some money too doing it.
Exactly. That's what people don't understand. How cutthroat it is, you know. You're good enough to make that final roster. That's an accomplishment. Every year.
Let me tell you something, man. Cordell Patterson, 2 years ago for the Falcons? I think he was making a lot of us go, man, I wish we could have done this with him.
Yeah.
We used him wrong.
Yeah.
Wasn't he their starting running back?
Yeah.
And he was tearing it up.
Yeah, he played running back for us and run a 60-yard play. And oh, man, let's not do that again.
Yeah. Oh, God, we got to save this guy for kickoff returns.
We got to make this guy run some routes that he can't run.
God forbid you try to make a receiver run routes.
I'm sorry, he's a football player, and if you a lot of players, not a lot, but there have been players that have changed position at the NFL level. You've had wide receivers go to cornerback and vice versa. Like I was just talking about David Palmer. He started off as either a running back or wide receiver first and converted. So if you got a skill set, you don't just break it because, well, no, you're a wide receiver. Like he played well out of the backfield. He was a weapon.
And this year, our most recent addition to that list will be Dallas Turner.
Stop it. Dallas Turner is never going to be a safety, Fish.
Safety, Dallas Turner.
He may lead this team in interceptions one year, but it won't be at the safety position.
Safety, Dallas Turner.
Nose tackle, right. Dallas Turner.
Again,
so that's our 88 news.
I think there's way too much expectations and pressure on the kid. I mean, let him compete and find time on the playing field. It's only a second year. I mean, you know how people say, JJ McCarthy fell into a perfect situation with all the weapons and blah, blah, blah. Well, Turner fell into kind of a shitty situation with Van Ginkel and Grenard. So he's gotta. I tell people, last year when I was hearing about how great of a spin move he has in practice and that, you don't think every tackle in the NFL hasn't seen great spin moves and know how to counteract it. Now you got your foot in the door. You're a pro player. You have to learn that you got to come up with secondary moves and things like that. That's why I always say a guy second year starting, he always takes a little dip just because the NFL has film on it. So, JJ McCarthy could do great this year. I do expect next year a little drop in his production. I'm not saying a drop to where he's stuck, but the more teams get tape on you, And then it's up to you as a pro to counteract that. That's any sport, you know. You get to baseball, and they find out you can't hit a slider, you better learn how to hit one, or you're not going to be there long. Or if you're a pitcher and all you have is the fastball, you better come up with a secondary pitch. It's good enough to get you in the door, but then what you going to do? So I think Turner's still learning, and there's just way too much expectation that he's going to get 15 sacks. He's got to find playing time because he's got 2 pros ahead of him that he's got to compete with. And that's not a bad thing to me. To me, draft status, where you were picked, means nothing after you're in the door, after you're in that locker. So, you know, let's see him grow and be a pro.
Keith, what happened in Skol News today?
Nothing. But this week,
I got to go, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, T-Bass.
Join us.
Rondell Moore's a sleeper on the Vikings. See, Rondell Moore might not even make this team, but I do like him. But after drafting Ty Felton, I don't know.
Oh, boy.
So what happened this week is we re-signed one of our own, Josh Oliver. Signed him to a 3-year extension worth $23.25 million, $19.9 million guaranteed. They could hit a maximum. They could hit a maximum value of $27.5 million. This guy is locked in for the next 4 years. Over the last 2 seasons, he's had the second best PFF grade as far as run blocking out of any tight end with a 76.5, which is, you know, blows away some of the other tight ends. And when we first signed him, we knew we brought him in here to be a blocking tight end. That's why I don't understand, you know, a lot of the Viking fans who get upset about Josh Oliver. Like, he doesn't catch any passes. He doesn't, you know, do this and that. He does catch the passes when he gets them thrown to him. He has some nice touchdown grabs last year. I think he only had 2, but they were both nice snags. Like, when he gets a chance to be a receiver, he does well. But he was brought in to be an extra blocker, and he does that great.
Unlike Cordell.
So, like Cordell Patterson, you use them to their strengths. You don't try to make them fit a mold they don't fit. But he has shown he could be a capable pass catcher, but he makes his living blocking. So we put this kind of investment into Oliver after we just overhauled our line. What does this kind of tell you about the direction we're headed, Fish?
We're going to be running that damn football. We got a more power back. We got I tell you what I'd like to see, talking about the size of Josh Oliver. And, you know, you posted that picture earlier with showing how big Ryan Kelly looked when he and McCarthy were in the snap formation. I kind of want to see Ryan Kelly and Josh Oliver stand next to each other. Because, I mean, Josh Oliver's just an absolute house with legs. I say that every time I see him catch a pass and run with it. And I also said this when we signed him, and I got to know a little bit about him. He was a prolific pass catcher in college. He didn't just forget how to do that shit once he got to the pros. Yeah, he's a great run blocker, but if you give that man half a chance, and we saw him box out in the end zone and make some nice snags the last couple of years, he can do a lot for us. He can do a lot. I think I'm feeling pretty good about my hot take about my boy leading the team in touchdowns this year.
What about you, Shaq? You think this is a good move? Or do you think we kind of overpaid for this?
No, I think it's a good move. I'm just hoping, you know, KOC continues to build upon what he's been trying to do, which is get a solid foundation of run game to go with his happy-ass pass offense. Because, you know, after a while, it kind of gets tedious when, you know, the whole defense know you about to run, pass the ball, because the run game, if they stop it 3 times, they know you're going to get pass happy. So if they can't stop the run game, that gives, you know, KOC opportunity to do a lot of play action and mix it up some.
And, you know, I've been thinking about it. Shaq was talking, as excited as I am about the prospect of us running the ball, I've kind of felt that way the last couple of years. We've got Josh Oliver. We've got a fullback who's supposed to be the most athletic fullback in the league. We've got all this, and we don't run the damn ball. So now I'm thinking, okay, we've got Josh Oliver. We've got Mason. We've got a revamped offensive line. We should run the ball. Watch. We're going to be last in the league in rushing.
Yeah.
Just because KOC can't do it.
Don't put that on us. We got a lot of hot takes riding on this.
We do.
West Phillips
I think
is
we all
like, yo, Kev, looking at the game plan for this week, and I don't see not but 2 run plays. What's going on?
We're just going to do those 2 run plays, but we're going to do them, 12 times each.
Student body left, student body right.
There you go. So Josh Oliver locked up, and that's good. It's also good because he might be counted on to be a pass catcher in the future because Hawkinson gets really expensive after this season, and it's not necessarily guaranteed money. So this could actually end up being Hawkinson's last season with us, unless they do some kind of crazy restructure or redo the deal altogether. I don't see Hawkinson coming back next year at his current contract, even if my future hot take hits.
We lined up a couple of tight ends in this past draft, right? We got a UDFA and we drafted one. Aren't both of them supposed to be good pass catchers?
We got 2 UDFAs and we drafted one. So yeah, and I think we actually just signed one this week. So they are looking for tight ends, and I mean, I think some of that might be for the future because the Hawkinson, he's going to get expensive. So Oliver locked up. I think Metellus has to be next, right? I mean, there was rumors about a hold in with him, which it doesn't seem like that's happening. He showed up to the minicamp and he's participating. He was asked about it actually, and he said, he just goes out there and plays football. That's up to his agent and the big boys upstairs. So he has the right attitude about it, but you could tell, no doubt, he wants something to happen, and he wants something to happen now.
I mean, if you look at his current contract, I don't blame him.
But I don't know if I blame the Vikings either about, what is this guy's actual value?
Shit.
The downside to not having a positional defense is that the non-conformist players are like, you got to pay me. Oh, what am I supposed to pay you like? You don't have an actual position.
I mean, that's one where, I don't know, man. They might let him go ahead and test free agency and mess up like the Giants GM. Like, go out there and see what you can get and then come back and tell us, okay? But you're going to give us a chance, right?
We're gonna pay you like a third string defensive tackle because it's positionless defense.
So they do got a little bit of money, and again, with them extending Oliver, he was due $9 million. Oliver was this year. He doesn't have to play under $9 million now because now they got 3 more years that they could push that down. They can make him a $2-3 million hit. That opens up some money. So what they could do is they can go ahead and sign Metellus, or they can go out and get a free agent.
What do you say?
Like this one, guys, I don't know. I struggle with just because I hated him so much. I really did. I respect his game, but I hated him. But he is only 20 years old and he just turned 28. When healthy, which is a big question mark, he is one of the best. But if you look at the last 4 years, he's only played 34 out of 68 games. So to me, this one's hard. Like, I'm definitely interested, but it depends on the price. And the fact that he couldn't come to an agreement with the Packers on a contract lets me know that he's probably not playing for like $5 million. Like, because that's where I'm at. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and throw him a 1-year deal, $5 to $7 million. That's probably not where he's looking for if he couldn't work it out with the Packers. Because I got to imagine they were in that ballpark, because I think he was due like $20 million. So I know they weren't, coming down to $5 million. Like, all right, like there had to be something that he turned down. That was.
Hey, Steve, why don't you jump on with us and tell us about what happened between the Packers and Jaire?
Boyd, I don't need JJ to say it's okay. Okay, like JJ's not running the team. JJ will be fine with anybody who come on this team and can help us win. I'm gonna trust the management on this one, but definitely not trying to overpay for him.
As a matter of fact, I want JJ to have nothing to say about what kind of players we bring in. He can lobby for them, but I surely don't want him to come out publicly say something about wanting players. Those kind of teeth need to be taken out of the players' mouths. They don't need that.
That's why we paid him.
Yeah, yes, Tommy, $5 to $7 million. Like, what do you want to pay the guy who's only played in half of the games the last 4 seasons? Like,
Jack, we paid
that kind of guy. That kind of guy gets
passes.
That guy gets a prove it deal at this point.
All right. What up, Steve? Illuminate us, sir.
What up?
Hey, buddy.
How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
We're doing all right. We just want to know how come the Packers and Jaire couldn't come up with an agreement.
Well, the main concern was we wasn't going to give him any whatever, and not knowing if he can stay healthy. One, to me, also his added, like, did he really want to be here? And could he? I mean, the last 2 seasons he played 14 games in the last 2 seasons.
So
most of that was injury, but he also got
do like in the locker room, Steve. He seems like he's really hard to read. Is that on purpose?
Well, that's where I say his attitude is. He plays things. He's okay. I'm this guy. I'm the one of these top-notch corners, and whatever. Like, like a lot. Like, it's funny. I was on another Vikings podcast. That
what?
Jamie and Casey, and they're saying you guys lost your best player on your defense. No, he was not. Jaire Alexander was not the best defensive player on the Packers. He was. Now, I'll give him his credit when he played, whatever. To me anymore, I would have to throw Edrin Cooper in there, Xavier McKinney, Rashawn Gary, and so forth. It was not Jaire. But, you guys lost your best defense. No, we did not. No, we didn't. And like I said, anybody. Now, what's funny is, as the corner, like you guys will know, you guys aren't stupid. He's available, and no one has signed him yet. And the question is, why? So think about it. One, no one wanted to trade us for him, and I could see, whatever. Now he's cut. He can sign. He could go wherever he wants now, and no one's jumping on him. No one, Jaire Alexander, one of the top corners in the league. Let's go get him. But the thing is, now, like you said, Fish, and I think the rest of you said, how much money does he want? Now, like you said, Keith, sign him 1 year, so much million, prove it, whatever, boom. And then if it pans out, give him that big extension. Give him that, whatever. Thing is, I don't think anybody can really trust him.
And that's why you can't go out and pay him a lot of money either, because, I mean,
right.
It's a gamble. Like, he is a very talented cornerback, probably one of the best in the league, like I said, when healthy. So you got to get past that, and then you also got to get past him as a person. Like, didn't he get suspended by the Packers for a game because of some stunt where he wasn't a captain, but he still ran out on the field to go call the toss, and he totally messed it up?
Yep.
Like, it was heads or tails, and he said, they won the toss, and he chose to kick the ball instead of deferring, which would have made the Packers have to kick first and third quarter. And he wasn't even supposed to be out there.
Right. Well, like I said, I don't think, and like you said, when he's in the locker room, like Sarah, she's a trip. At times, you can't understand half the time what he's saying. Like, he just thinks. Sometimes I think he's really because he was a first-round pick. Now, it was in that deal where the Saints traded with us to move up, and that's where we ended up with 2 first-round picks that year, and he was the first one out of the corners. The other one, who was the dude, he was from Iowa. We took with the second pick in the first round, I think. It was the corner from Iowa that didn't make the team or whatever.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate for him on the contract situation real quick. Okay. Maybe he's kind of holding out a little bit because, those prove-it contracts in this day and age, a 1-year prove-it agreement on your second team or whatever tends to turn into you playing for 1-year agreements for the rest of your career.
Well, now, see, there's people.
But you can make money that way.
Well, there's people in Green Bay thinking that if no one really goes out and signs him, picks him up, would he want to come back to Green Bay and say, okay, you know what? I'll come back 1 year, do whatever, da-da-da-da-da-da. But, I don't know if Goody would do that, with LaFleur. Wait a minute. You're not going to pull this crap, this antics on us to where you come back and you play when you want, you do all this BS, and see, that's the problem in sports. It's money, it's a big money business, and a lot of these guys think they could go in and control the game, but no. Each team is not a one-man team.
Well, yeah, obviously. And if it was, he wouldn't be one of those one man. Is it true that the Packers GM said that they're used to playing games without him?
Yeah. It's like you got to look at it. In 2 years, he played 14 games in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's not a guy that's going back. To me, it seems more like a situation where he's incentivized to sign with the NFC North team because he's going to want to play against the Packers twice.
Bring it. Go sign with the Vikings. Go sign with the damn Bears. Go sign with the damn Lions. We don't care.
I can't believe we got Duke Shelley talking in the chat right now.
I love it.
Gosh. Talk about a guy that's living on the moment. Like,
he was
lucky.
I don't want to accept that. I don't want to accept that lightning in the bottle argument from you. You don't know what he could have done with year 2 under this defense. I mean, look what he did with year 1 in his limited play. I mean, if we would have kept him, he probably could have been great. But no,
he didn't get us to. He didn't take us to an NFC Championship, Fish. I see where you're trying to go, but it wasn't nearly that, man. I don't know how the guy got away with all the pass interference that he did.
But he did.
But he did. He did get away with it, and that was probably his best attribute. Like every time he made a play, my butt clenched because I was like, "Where's the flag?" Oh.
Like, if you guys was going to get Alexander, what kind of deal you want done?
I'm not going to lie, man. I don't want him.
Okay, that's fair.
And I have my own reason. This might become a fishism if he gets talked about enough. I don't want somebody on the team that does a better gritty than JJ.
That can't be your real reasoning.
It's a facetious.
I mean, I guess it can be.
I mean, I can't get a read off on him. He's standoffish. He would talk up games and challenge wide receivers, and then when he couldn't or wouldn't play or whatever, then he would. I don't know, man. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, he was scared to play JJ, but I'm saying, look. If you're being asked in the locker room, why did you suit up against the Vikings? Don't just be like, oh, man. Talking to me? I mean, come on, answer the damn question.
I'm interested, but like I'm under $10 million on a 1-year deal, maybe even 2 years, and then I give him the 20. But the problem is, like, is he going to be okay being cornerback 3?
No.
Like,
no, not this guy.
1 and 2.
Oh, we got Murphy and Isaiah Rodgers 1 and 2.
That would be a big issue. There's no way he would feel that. I don't want to knock anything against Murphy or
go ahead and knock Isaiah Rodgers all you want. I'm in your corner, Steve.
but it's just the fact that if Jaire went there and he wasn't the number one corner, now if he was in Minnesota, I would love it because there'd be so much drama in that locker room with Jaire. That would just implode all over that Minnesota Vikings defense.
See, so then that's why he's not coming here.
No,
Because we just paid Byron Murphy $22 million. Shaq, who would you rather have? Jaire for let's say a 1 year, $11 million deal, sign him as a free agent, or Jalen Ramsey, and we got to trade and pay him $20 million.
Jalen Ramsey.
I don't know why I asked you.
Content.
Say that again, Keith. What's the scenario again?
So we could sign Jaire Alexander 1 year, $11 million. Or we could trade for Jalen Ramsey, which I don't think it's going to be a lot. It might be a 4th round pick. But then we got to pay him $20 million.
Looks like we're going to have a duo of gritties on the team if it's up to me.
Yeah, I can't pay 2 cornerbacks $20 million. We're already paying Murphy that. So
I'm just wondering if Scary Terry's going to end up going anywhere.
I think he ends up getting paid.
Oh, that's
What's that, Shaq?
Who'd you say, Steve?
I think we had a big talk on a pod the other day about that. Like, a lot of people said that they see him getting paid, but what teams would he be a good fit on? Like if he would come to Minnesota, he would definitely be a number 2 easily, close to a number 1. I mean, that would be scared. Honestly, that offense would be scared. Only question is now, no knock, is still McCarthy. No one knows what McCarthy's going to bring yet.
I do.
But that's okay. But like I said, if he would go anywhere, like where else? Now, if he would go, I think the best fit, if he was going anywhere, I think the best fit, the 2 teams I think would be the best would be the Chargers and the Patriots.
I can see both of those.
For some reason, had Denver rattling around in my head.
Well, yeah, Denver wouldn't be bad. And hell, I kind of threw Pittsburgh in there, but because they really need another receiver to go with DK. And I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is like, okay, who am I throwing the ball to? Oh, DK, is that it? I'm surprised that, could we trade Green Bay for Romeo Dobbs or someone? And can we go get Alan Lazard? He's probably calling up, what's his name, to come out of retirement or whatever.
Who, Jordy Nelson?
No, Cobb. Randall Cobb.
So doesn't seem like anybody here is too hyped on Jaire Alexander.
Why would I be hyped about Jaire Alexander when we have Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, and Mekhi Blackman?
I'm not.
Well, I honestly think that's what the Vikings are saying. Like, this is just fan stuff. I really don't think the Vikings are interested in bringing in another cornerback. I think they're happy with what we have. I've kind of been saying that for a while now, especially after Asante Samuel didn't get signed right after the draft, and after we didn't draft one, I was like, you know what? I think they're happy with what we have. And I think Okuda's going to get all the chances in the world to be a contributor on this team. So I think they like what we got going.
I can see him being a Raider.
Who, Okuda?
Alexander.
I can see him being a freaking Raven.
That too.
That's what I could see. Anyways, thank you, Steve. We'll bring you back on when we got more Packer questions.
Thanks, Steve. Skol, buddy.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right. So last week we had was it voluntary OTAs where JJ McCarthy was record-setting in every way, big performer. This week we had mandatory minicamp, and the biggest news wasn't really JJ McCarthy, even though he was definitely part of the story. The biggest news was Christian Darrisaw was back on the field. And that's about as good of news that any Viking fan could hope for. He was out there running. Of course, he had a big brace on, but he was out there running, doing a little bit of cutting, doing some agility stuff, like all positive signs. If he was to play week 1, that would put him 10 months and 15 days from surgery, or from the day the injury happened, which would be 44 weeks from surgery. And Hawkinson, who had the same injury, was 40 weeks removed from surgery.
Sounds about right.
So 4 more weeks than Hawkinson had, and they actually held out Hawkinson a little longer than needed. So I think it's a real chance that he's ready for week 1. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he has some stem cell stuff done to help accelerate. That seems to be the way to go. There's different ways. I mean, I really think ever since AP made that miraculous comeback and had that fantastic season, it's kind of flipped everything on the head on how to handle these types of injuries. So, yeah, granted, he's maneuvering a bunch more weight than a lot of these skill position players are, but also he's got some lateral movement, but he doesn't necessarily have to violently cut like a skill position player is. So I think he'll be back week 1. He'll probably be about 85-90%,
which is a lot better than what we could have, and a lot better than tackles on other teams. But let's say that he's not ready, Shaq. How long do you think this team could go without him before it becomes a problem? Like our first 5 games, that's what we consider to be kind of the cushiest part. Do you think we can get through those 5 games without him, or do you think we would need him somewhere in there?
I'll say the latest we would need him will probably be week 3, because at that point you don't want to start 0-2, and then now you gotta pick and choose how to escape this being down 2 games. So
who we playing week 3, Shaq?
Who are we playing?
Bengals.
I think we're playing
the Bengals. Don't they have like the sack leader on their defense?
Not right now. They don't.
Nah, they might trade him.
Holding out.
Yeah,
he's holding out. So is their rookie defensive lineman. They might not. I might be playing for their defensive line.
I think Trey Henderson was
got a chance.
Yeah,
I think Trey Henderson was like, "Yeah, you might want to hold out, Rook."
He's like, they paid receivers. They can't pay the rest of us.
But yeah,
I'd say that's fair. Week 3.
I really wanted to play.
Hey Timmy, I don't know where you're getting that information from, but the Vikings have not signed Dalton Reisner. That has not happened, and I don't expect that to happen. He's on TikTok begging for it to happen, but I don't see that happening. I think we're good at guard.
We basically waited till the middle of the season to sign him, haven't we?
He was in camp last year.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the Vikings fans, they was begging the Vikings to sign him. He's the best available free agent out there.
Yeah, and he made a whole post about it on TikTok. I remember Viking fans, they were the ones that got me onto the team because they were out there saying that we need to sign this guy, and they were rooting for me and cheering for me, and that's the reason that the Vikings signed me. That's because of you fans. Yeah, Boyd. Quisenberry went to the Rams. Quisenberry wasn't bad. He was just bad when he had to play a lot. You didn't want him starting, but if he had to come in for a few series or finish up a game, he was okay. But if you had to depend on him for like 3 games, yeah, it's probably not going to go well. And I'm going to agree with you, Shaq, that we probably couldn't go that whole 5-game stretch without Darrisaw because I think his replacement is Josh Skol, and I don't know nothing about him.
I think he played for the Buccaneers a couple games.
That's all I know about him. That's all I know about him. He played for the Buccaneers, and he doesn't anymore. So,
well, wise man once told me you don't need 5 elite players on the offensive line. So you can have.
You don't, but you need some good ones. No, Cam Robinson's gone too.
Yeah, Cam's going.
Did he go to the Patriots? I don't know where he went. He went somewhere though. Texans. He's over there with Ed Ingram.
Got us a comp pick.
So, yeah, I think we need him back soon. I really didn't hear too much other stuff going on at the mini camp. It just seems, just normal stuff. Of course, like they're not showing anything. But 2 names that I've heard popping up a lot from people is Jalen Naylor and Jay Ward. Seems like Jalen Naylor's got a whole new body. The dude's ripped. He's massive, to go along with his speed. Looking like a guy that's out there playing for a contract. So also looking like a guy that saw his position in jeopardy when the Vikings drafted a wide receiver.
You drafted what in the 3rd round? Hold on. Steroids.
Hey. You ain't trying if you ain't cheating. So he's looking like a bigger dude out there. So if he can just hold on to the ball, he might be dangerous, and we might need him because Addison, we still don't know. Mike is suspended for a couple games, so we might need him to step up. And then Jay Ward, he's been kind of playing the Metellus role, which is maybe why Metellus is not getting this contract. Maybe it's like, well, can we just swap him out for somebody else? It's cheaper. They may already have Metellus's replacement, but he's getting a lot of mentions throughout social media. I haven't seen anything on the mini camp myself. I'm just going based off what I've heard and read, and those are the 2 names that are popping up for me. And I think today was the last day of the mini camp, so we're not going to be getting any news coming up. Like right now, we're about to hit the dead period. There's like a mini camp next week, but like none of the starters attend that one. And I think last year the Vikings didn't even really do it. So we're not going to like really get anything until July 26th when training camp officially opens. So what are we going to talk about for the next month, fellas?
Favorite football movie.
We can argue about whether or not
that's always a good one.
We can argue about whether or not that touchdown pass to Addy was underthrown.
It was. I don't know that anybody can make an argument that it wasn't, but I think we can make an argument of, does it matter?
I don't really matter. I know he's just working out the kinks of the deep ball, and plus that's not really his game. His game's more so the intermediate and underneath. But as long as he's attempting it and it's completed, we can't bitch too much about it.
Right. Like, I mean, how often are quarterbacks leading a wide receiver 40, 50 yards, on throws? Like, it happens, but not often. Like, a lot of times, like, on those deep plays, the wide receiver has to make a play on the ball. And how often are you even running a play where you're throwing that ball? What, 2-3 times at the game at the most? I mean, most of the time you're throwing the ball within 20 yards. And I think that's where he's going to be elite. And, we got to start getting some yak out of these guys. Where's Robbie at? We need some yak.
It could also be that Aston was running too fast.
My concern on that play isn't that it was underthrown. My concern is who was covering it. Who was covering Addison for him to be wide open? I know it wasn't Isaiah Rodgers. I beat you to it, Fish. I know it wasn't Isaiah Rodgers.
Well, he didn't just beat the corner. He beat Harrison Smith deep, too.
I was going to let that go.
I mean, Harrison Smith's old, Shaq. I mean.
Look at him. He's old.
Cover your fucking man.
Cover your fucking man.
Fucking guy.
Yeah, watch your mouth, fucking guy. Not fucking man.
Live TV.
So
you fucking guy.
So minicamp's over, and it's gonna be training camp in a month. And like I said earlier, we're 88 days away from the first game of the season. And I kind of said I feel like it's going fast. But do you guys agree with that? Do you think the offseason is going fast, or has this been kind of dragging you guys?
I mean, look at my caption: 3 months till the home opener. I look back and I go, wait a minute. It's been 7 months since we were in Nashville having a great time of watching the game. Holy crap, dude. It's going by fast. Yeah, man, this is going by quick, and doing this show actually helps it quite a bit.
I agree with that. And I think there's also, the hype around JJ McCarthy and the vibe. Kind of think that's kind of made it fun for us and keeping us feeling like it's still football season. I mean, that's what I credit to. What about you, Shaq?
I think it's going along perfectly fine. I'm anxiously waiting for the preseason games. At least probably preseason week 1 of the preseason, due to you might get a small taste of JJ McCarthy, and then you might not see him for the rest of the season until week 1.
Starters don't play in preseason games.
Yeah, I think he might play it at least that first week though.
I think Sam Darnold played the first series of the first preseason game, and that was it. I would expect something similar with JJ. Might get a tad bit more. But we have an epic backup quarterback battle going on. We got 3 capable guys that could step in and be a number 1 on many other teams. So I'll be interested to see them during the preseason. We got Rippin, we got Brosmer, and Sam Howell. Come on, I'm excited to see that. I really don't need to see JJ McCarthy in the preseason. Unlike a lot of people, I know what we have in JJ McCarthy and what JJ McCarthy is going to bring. Rings, because he's not married yet, but he will get married while he's in Minnesota. He's going to bring rings to Minnesota for sure.
They're playing their 3rd preseason game here in Nashville.
Those would be like $6 tickets, Fish.
I know. Do I want to do that though?
I mean, you got to go into it knowing that you're going to be seeing most of the guys that aren't going to play, but it's still guys in Vikings uniform.
I'll tell you what though, gosh, it's been 8 or 9 years since they played a preseason game here in Nashville. I remember I got free tickets from work. I drove down there. I sat down in my seat for 20 minutes. I said, what is this bullshit? And I left.
Well, now you're a little more invested. You'll actually know the players that are out there. Their name anyways. By the time we're done and we get to that point, you're going to know the players' names that are playing. And I would say you're more invested than you were the 9 years ago. And the good thing, too, is you probably be able to get a ticket where you don't got to, worry about being up so high and getting the vertigo and all that.
Oh, my gosh. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I think you'd be fine.
I'll be all like, Keith, you lied. You son of a...
You're like, I'm down in the 100 row, and I'm still freaking getting dizzy up here. JJ threw me a glove.
Hey, Siri, how much are horse blinders? I didn't really mean it, phone. Shut up.
Did it really go off?
Yes.
Yes, I hear
horse blinders, Amazon.com. Let's find out, shall we?
Might as well now.
$54.99.
Are those for human?
No, those are for horses.
No, I was wondering if they actually make them for humans. I guess they probably wouldn't call them horse blinders, though, right?
Yeah.
Probably have a different name.
I'll dig a little deeper in this off camera.
Yeah, dig off camera, and we'll let everybody know next week. We could put our link on it or something. There was something I saw on ESPN that I found kind of interesting, and I wanted to bring it to the table. And it was on ESPN's Get Up. And they asked the question, which quarterback is under more pressure this year? Is it JJ McCarthy being a first-year starter, never taking a snap, but the team has kind of built a ready-to-win roster? It's probably the best roster this team's had in quite some time. And they could have gone out and got someone like Aaron Rodgers to lead it, but they chose JJ McCarthy to be the one. Or is there more pressure on Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, who, had good stats last year, but the Bears didn't do well at all. He's got a new coach. They went out and had a pretty great offseason themselves. They're starting to get expectations to win. What do you say, Fish? Who feels got
Caleb
more
Williams,
pressure?
Absolutely. He's got to live up to that first overall pick. There have been, a lot of great first overall picks at the quarterback position where the difference between there's not a lot of middle ground. Like, you don't get to be just a good player. You're either the guy that took that bad franchise and maybe had a rough first season, but then brought it on and started to become a winner year 2 and kept going. Like, I think Peyton Manning, right? Peyton Manning was awful in year 1, threw so many interceptions, and they only win 1 game?
It was 1 or 2, yeah. And I think it was an NFL record for interceptions at the time.
Yeah. But then year 2, on they came, right? Peyton got his offense installed. The Colts said, okay, we'll run Peyton's offense. And so Caleb's got to turn it around. He can go quickly into the bust category, especially we talk about the upgrades we've made. They have actually, in my opinion, for what you can put as tangibles, have done a better job upgrading their team. They upgraded in all the same positions that we did, but they were younger. They were more highly touted free agents than ours. So, I mean, just not saying that they will perform better, but when you look at the potential of what they got versus what we got, they actually, quote unquote, did a better job upgrading than us. He has everything he needs to be successful on offense. And if he doesn't make this thing happen, and if he doesn't at least make some sort of playoff run, and I don't think a one and done would really get him out of like being considered hot in the hot seat. They have a team built to win and a first overall draft pick quarterback, and he is by far under the most pressure. Because in every category you would say JJ McCarthy is under pressure, it is him to the nth power. Same categories, more pressure.
You agree with him, Shaq?
So this one, it kind of gave me trouble because I was trying to decide between the two of them. Yeah, Caleb Williams has the pressure of getting Chicago to where they haven't been in decades, and plus being the number 1 pick. But he has something JJ McCarthy doesn't have yet, and that's actually playing games in the NFL. The Bears, before they got rid of Justin Fields, they ain't make the playoffs. They haven't been to the playoffs in years. So it's kind of like, just get into the wild card, they'll be happy. If we get to wild card with JJ McCarthy, I don't think we're really going to be that much happy because, we just came from making a wild card with Sam Darnold, who JJ McCarthy is supposed to be better than. And we had won 14 games last year. With I'd say, even though we didn't make as many upgrades as the Bears did, but our team is at least better on paper than last year. Getting Darius Saul back, drafting Donovan Jackson to replace Brandel, getting rid of Garrett Bradbury, getting rid of Ed Ingram, and basically signing a defensive line that could get to the quarterback. So we did all these improvements. On paper, we should have a better record. And the only unknown right now is our quarterback. So that's what's making it hard for me to choose Caleb Williams over JJ McCarthy because JJ McCarthy actually has to win games and make it look like the Vikings didn't fuck up by choosing him over Bo Nix.
Yeah, you guys both made really good arguments on that. But I actually think it's JJ McCarthy myself. Everything you said is true, Fish. But like Shaq said, if they were just to make the playoffs, I think he would get a lot of grace. like I don't think that JJ McCarthy will get that same. I think Viking fans are ready to win, and I think it'll come back and blow back on they could have had Aaron Rodgers on this team. So if we do go out and go to the playoffs and we lose the first round, it's going to be like Aaron Rodgers, we could have done it. And there's a lot of people already ready to hate JJ McCarthy. And I'm not just talking about NFL people. I'm not just talking about Colin Cowherd. I'm talking about Viking fans. Like, they're ready to hate him already.
Viking
I don't think there's a lot of Bears fans already ready to hate Caleb.
No, I really don't. I really don't. I think they were happy to have him. The Bears really haven't had great quarterbacks in their history. This is like the highest profile quarterback that they've had. No, I don't think there's a big chunk of a fan base that's, what is already thinking about, well, if he sucks, maybe we replace him next year. There's already Viking fans thinking that way. And
I don't know. Man, because they've already gone through some quarterbacks, Justin Fields being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think back to his final year in college for USC. We made a big deal out of him, maybe not you guys, but Vikings fans made a big deal out of him crying in his mama's arms after a loss. Vikings fans made a big deal out of his nail polish and all that other shit. And let's be real, the Bears franchise is a more grounded, dirty, baseline culture than ours. They still play outside. And so they don't want any of those diva antics and all that stuff. They want Dick Butkus to run through that hallway again.
It makes it easy for our fan base to make fun of him crying to his mom and painting the nails because he's a Chicago Bear. Had he been drafted by us
when he did it, he was still in college.
But had we drafted him, he would have been embraced.
We're a different fan base than the Bears. The Bears are a more salt of the earth fan base than ours.
And I think he is very embraced in Chicago. And I mean, Tommy said it, and I agree. I think Caleb Williams had a good season. The Bears didn't. But he also had a shitty offensive line.
Kirk Cousins had a lot of good seasons too, buddy.
Yeah, not his rookie year, though.
Quarterback.
And Kirk Cousins made, the second most money on anybody ever to play this game.
Mm-hmm. Was he a first overall pick?
Nope.
You expect first overall pick franchise around.
Neither was a number one. Well, yeah, you would, but probably not year one. Peyton Manning was the first overall pick, right? Like you said.
Yeah, we're not in year one anymore. If this was their rookie season, I would say that it's definitely JJ McCarthy, but we're not. He has to turn the franchise around, like starting now.
Right, but turning that franchise around just means making the playoffs. For us, I think we have loftier expectations, and especially with the free agents we had, we're all like the free agency that we had. But for being honest, all those deals were for 1 year. Like we made a team for this season. We didn't go out and sign players that this is a part of our freaking window. We got time. It's like, no, we got these guys, and this has to happen this year. And JJ, we could have gone with Aaron Rodgers, but we put it on you, and the expectations are the same as if it was Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think my expectations are actually higher for JJ McCarthy than a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, to be honest.
Look here, Caleb. You got this year and next year, and if not, we're shipping you to Pittsburgh just like we did Fields.
Yeah, I don't think that either, because I think Caleb Williams has already shown that he's a much better quarterback than Justin Fields was. I think that's already been shown and been proven. I do think Fields could still end up turning around and having a good career, but I think Caleb Williams showed that he's a much better quarterback.
I'm not going to lie. When we talked about the possibility of getting Fields, I was actually very intrigued.
Well, yeah, we could have had him and brought him in, and instead of having Sam Howell back him up, but no, he went and got a starter money to be a starter, and he wasn't going to come here and do that. So, no, I definitely would have taken him as the backup for sure.
For sure.
So I think McCarthy, Shaq thinks McCarthy, Shaq thinks Fish, and I don't think any of us are wrong. I think they're both under a lot of pressure. I think they both need to make the playoffs, and I think that could happen.
And play each other in the NFC Championship game in Minnesota.
I don't know if I want that.
I want that.
That's too much. especially because it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a season.
That is true.
So I don't know. I don't know if I want that. Cody's not here today, but we're still gonna do Cody Calls It, and he had one lined up, and I'm gonna go ahead and take it over for this week. But what Cody Calls It is he finds something that's being talked about in the news, or maybe a prop bet out there, and he makes his call on it, whether he thinks it's going to be true or not, and then the rest of the panel has to agree or disagree with him. And this week we got PFF set the line for quarterback touchdown passes, and they set JJ McCarthy at 25.5 touchdown passes, which I don't know if you think that's a lot or not, but it's more than these quarterbacks below. It's more than Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Tua, Matt Stafford, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, and Sam Darnold. So when you look at it that way, that's pretty crazy that PFF has him throwing more touchdowns than them. And me, I'm calling it. I'm taking the over. I think he's going to have closer to 30 touchdown passes, and that's just because the offensive line we built around him and the weapons that he has to throw to. Like, he is just driving this car. Like, you think Purdy had it easy with the weapons he had? JJ McCarthy is going to have it 2 times easier, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a big season for Hawkinson. I think JJ is going to continue off of what he did last year, and I think Jordan Addison's going to ball out, and you got the Hulk Jalen Naylor. I think we're going to score a lot of points this year because I think our running backs are also going to score. So, I don't know, man. This is a special season to me, and I'm taking the over on the 25.5. What about you, Shaq?
Yeah, I'm taking the over. I feel like all these touchdown lines are a little low, but I'm definitely going with the over.
Michael Fish?
See, I think our running backs are going to score a lot of touchdowns. I think we're going to drive that nail in a lot, like when we get down into the red zone. I pray that the way we are set up, that we are going to instill our will and make it so that way he doesn't have to throw a lot of touchdowns. Having said that, though, I'm going with the over because I think we're going to run up the score on a lot of people.
Yeah. And to Shaq's point, I do think it's kind of low because, I mean, that's less than 2 touchdowns a game, which, I mean, he's going to have at least 1 4-touchdown game this season.
Of the list below, the one that I'm the most surprised about is Stafford. I just can't believe Stafford is on a lower touchdown than JJ.
Yeah, I was actually surprised about a few of these. I think Stroud, but he does have one of his receivers that are out for the year. I mean, Purdy, that doesn't surprise me at all. Dak kind of surprises me because, I mean, Dak's a kind of like a Kirk Cousins type player where, they might not do well, but he still throws like 40 touchdowns. And now he's got Pickens in the mix.
He played a full season.
The year before last.
Did he really?
Yeah, there you go. So,
which is why I drafted him in my fantasy league last year.
Looking at the touchdown leaders from last year, at least 15 quarterbacks threw 25 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think it's that daunting of a number. I think what's more surprising here is that his over-under projections over these guys. I got a poll going on YouTube right now. And right now it's 50-50 on the over-under.
Hold on, let me go vote.
In the chat, of the quarterbacks down below, pick one that you think will actually throw for more touchdowns than JJ McCarthy.
Let me see. If I had to choose, it will. The only person I could think of would probably be Stafford, Tua, Dak, and maybe CJ.
He's like half these guys.
Yeah.
I'm just going with the ones who got a bunch of receivers.
Yeah.
Tua is only one hit away from having a brain made of yogurt, right, Shaq?
Well, don't speak that into existence, man.
Hey, that's his choice. That's his choice.
It is. I'm sticking with Dak. I mean, I think Dak's a lock for 30 touchdowns if he's healthy. But will that be more than JJ? I don't know if it'll be more than JJ. It'll be more than JJ's projection.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I just said Dak, bro. You're the one who doesn't even know what Oliver does for this football team.
Can you imagine us actually being okay with the fact that JJ McCarthy is going to throw more touchdowns than Justin Herbert?
Well, I'm saying that because of we saw what they did last year. They ran the ball.
Yeah,
and now they got.
Can you just imagine that, though? I mean, like 2 years ago, could you imagine us ever thinking this?
No.
Yeah.
Let me see. I mean, yeah, 2 years ago, Dak threw 36 touchdowns. 2021, he threw 37. I don't know what this guy's talking about. I'm not saying that Dak is a great quarterback. I'd rather, if you ask me, do I want Dak on the Vikings this year or do I want JJ McCarthy? I want JJ McCarthy. But Dak does score touchdowns. I already said that they don't win playoff games either, if they even make the playoffs. Overpaid Oliver. See, he's one that guy's kind of talking about, like, there's a lot of fans that aren't happy with it because they don't understand his role. Like earlier, JJL, you said that he barely even plays. No, Oliver plays a lot. He's just not a pass catching tight end. That's not what he's paid to do. He's out there to be an extra blocker, and he does that better than any other tight end in the league. There's nuance to this game. So that was Cody calls it. We're all for the over on the 25.5. So if you can find that, go bet it. This is not financial advice.
It's just a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tommy, exactly. All right, let's do another fun one. And since Cody's not here, I'm taking it. But this is something that we start doing when it's the off season, is not much going on. We start making up our own stuff. And this one is, if you could bring back one Viking from the past 10 seasons to be on the team now, who would it be? You got to pick the player and the year. And to start this off, I'm taking 2017 Xavier Rhodes.
You son of a you dirty rat.
That's cool.
That's why I couldn't ask you guys to go first, because
you dirty rat.
JJL 2012 AP 2012 Harvin would not be in the past 10 seasons, but good try. I'm taking the 2017 Xavier Rhodes. Me and him were tight. You know, we're pretty close on social media. We've had a few conversations together. You know, he likes Let's Skol, but that's not why I'm picking him. I'm picking him because now you're putting an all-pro cornerback on this team, which cornerback is kind of seen maybe as the weakest position group on this team. So we get him in there with Isaiah Rodgers, and then you put Byron Murphy in the slot where he should be. Man, I think all of a sudden we have one of the best secondaries in the whole NFL. I have a lot of faith in Theo Jackson. I think Harrison Smith's going to play hard. He knows it's the last season. I think for real, this is like, the last dance, man. Give us 2017 prime Xavier Rhodes before all the limping and when he gets burnt, like when the man could still play really good lockdown defense. I think Super Bowl, homeboy. Michael Fish, who you adding to this team from the past 10 seasons?
Give me the strongest man in the NFL. 2016 Linval Joseph. 4 sacks, 77 tackles, just dominant in the middle, couldn't be moved. Just that point of attack, the thing that Cody swears we don't need on this team is somebody who can be a fixed asset. Nobody can move him. He sets up the run defense and also could get to the quarterback and collapse the interior of the pocket. Linval, baby.
It's funny you say that because I feel like the last 2, maybe 3 years I've been begging for the Vikings to bring him back. And, he is older and whatnot, but he's just that you can't move him. You put him in the center and then you put, Phillips out to where he's supposed to be. Fucking Duke Shelley. That's going to be a band. I did think about Danielle Hunter, Boyd. I really did, but I like what we got going on the edges. I like where we're at. Like he could definitely help this defense out, but I don't think he's going to help him out more than Xavier Rhodes would, and I don't think he's going to help more than Linval Joseph would. Having Linval Joseph clogging up the center makes everybody else on that line better. Danielle Hunter will get his sacks, but I don't know that he necessarily will make everybody on that line better. What about you, Shaq? Who you bringing in?
So it's more so not me bringing somebody in, but giving somebody back their youth. And I'm going 2017 Harrison Smith.
This guy.
93 tackles, 5 interceptions, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss. That is the Harrison Smith we need. Where, we still line him up all over the place, but it's clear as day that he lost a few steps. Like, even if he still got the wisdom, he just don't have the athleticism as he did earlier in his career. So if we give him back his youth, put him back there, shit. We don't have to worry about nobody throwing it deep against us.
Damn, so we get him and we get Xavier Rhodes. Both of them were first team all pros. Oh, Cody heard his name.
We done spoke him up.
He's still arguing with you, Fish. You said he would, and he did.
Hey, Shaq, the thing about Smith from even like 17 is he's got to be able to put those hits on like he could in 17.
Well,
because, starting in 20, they were basically ready to throw him in jail for some of those hits.
Yeah. And for some reason, he was targeted more than others. He was targeted more than others. And
he got
to the point where
in the game.
Yeah, he was. But it got to the point where it got to the point anytime he made a tackle, it was like, oh man. Here comes the flag. But man, so Xavier Rhodes and Smith in 2017, both are first team all pros. And that, was secondary to helping us get to the NFC Championship game that year. So
part of that number 1 ranked off defense
and offense. Number 1 quarterback.
I'm not saying I wasn't saying. I'm just saying both of them.
What? And Linval was on that team too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Linval was not quite as good in 17 as he was in 16, but I just think it was a matter of he didn't need to be. He didn't have to put up those stats. He just plugged it up.
Plug and play.
I like that, and it's crazy that none of us went offense, but that's fair. We could have taken like Thielen and had a real or Diggs. Shaq.
The offense is set.
I'm just saying we could have had a real 3 deep. We could have taken 2015 Adrian Peterson, which was really his last 1,000-yard season, I think, his last good season. But it wasn't 2012 Peterson. If 2012 was in this, I would take it. But I like our running backs. I don't think we really need that kind of upgrade. I think we had other holes that we could have made better. So I applaud us on not just taking a skilled big-name player. Shout out Xavier Rhodes.
See, ain't nothing but love for you, Xavier.
And that never has been anything but that.
Nothing but love for you, baby.
I remember what you did to Odell Beckham Jr. in that game. I remember that psychological masterpiece you put on him.
Wasn't that when Odell got in a fight with the kicking net and lost?
He had him punching the air.
He lost two. He lost 2 fights that game.
Mm-hmm.
He
was all in his head.
That was a fun game to watch. That one was.
Oh
that was
a fun.
It was that battle. It was that matchup. Yeah, it lived up to what it was supposed to be. That was a good matchup. It was fun, and Xavier Rhodes got the best of that. That's why I'm taking that man.
That's what happened. I think that was the beginning of better help right there. Was they saw what happened to Odell Beckham Jr. and they said we need to help that man.
So, are you guys ready to do Around the Gallahorn?
Yeah.
Start us off, Michael Fish.
Bear with me just a hot second.
I knew you weren't ready, so why? You're still looking for the horse blinders, aren't you?
Yeah. Blank will lead the Vikings in tackles for loss this season.
Okay.
Give me your answers in the comments, chat.
Who you want to take this one first, Cody? Fish, whatever her name is.
It sounds like my mama trying to call my name.
Go ahead, my mom
lead us off.
Oh, you're a dick. Leads and tackles for loss. I know what you want me to say, but I can't go there. I'm gonna say it's Van Ginkel. Not a defensive lineman, and not the one that you want me to say, but I think Van Ginkel he gets into the backfield quite often. He'll get. Do sacks count as tackles for loss?
I think not. I think they have because every time I've looked, they have their own separate category.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Van Ginkel. He finds himself in the backfield a lot. I think he'll stop some runs back there, and I mean the most not going to be that many. Oh, there's Robbie. Thank God. Go ahead, Shaq.
I'm gonna go with Lincoln's boy. I'm gonna go with Ivan Pace Jr. I could see him finally getting freed up more so he could get a one-on-one tackle with a running back, or if they do a QB sneak.
Hargrave.
That was my second choice.
Okay. So, can I guess yours, Fish? No.
Hitman.
Who? Huh?
Hitman.
Harrison Smith?
Wow.
If we had 2017 Harrison Smith, I could see it. Cody says Hargrave too.
I have a feeling Hitman's going to be spending a lot of time up near the line of scrimmage this year.
I thought you were going to say Jalen Redmond.
I thought you were going to say Blake Cashman.
So the chat, once Hargrave got said, that's whoever everybody's going with Hargrave. That's a good one. But I'm going to stick with Van Ginkel. And Shaq's got Ivan Pace. And Fish's got Harrison Smith. Not 2017 Harrison Smith, current Harrison Smith. Cody asks, if McCarthy has a 2017 Case Keenum-like season, how far does that get this team? For reference, Keenum threw 22 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions, but also only played 13 games. Michael Fish?
It's not tackles, Robbie. It's tackles for loss. I say Super Bowl. I say it's a Super Bowl win.
A Super Bowl win if he's okay.
I say this offense is that much like our pieces on offense are that much better than what Case had.
Yeah, I agree. Because if Case had this offense, probably would have been a Super Bowl. You're right. What about you, Shaq?
Me to ask a question or wait?
No, answer the question.
James
How far does this team go if JJ McCarthy has a Case Keenum like season? Like he's not like Pro Bowler or All Pro, but he's efficient. He's leading the team to victories.
How far does he go?
Game managing.
Wild card.
That's it.
Yeah. I don't know if our defense is gonna be ever that top tier like it was in 2017.
Jason, I'm gonna need you to what am I looking for? I need you to back this up. What do you mean he's playing like Keenum? Like that sounds like you're talking bad about Keenum, and like I don't think he would do that. How is that a realistic answer? Because you don't want JJ McCarthy to do good, Robbie? I think if he has a Case Keenum-like season, then we at least go to the NFC Championship because we have a great offense, we have a great defense. This success of this team is not based on JJ McCarthy. Now, he can't go in there and tank this team. And if he has a Case Keenum-like season, he's not tanking the team. So that's why I think
the biggest adjective for Case Keenum when he played in 17 was gutsy. If Sam Darnold could have finished the season with any type of a gutsy performance, we would, immediate pressure, but if he had any type of guts, he could have made something happen.
I think I missed that, and you're probably lucky. Mm-hmm. Did you say that Case Keenum didn't have any guts?
No, I said he was gutsy. That was the biggest.
Oh, okay.
That was the biggest adjective for how he played was gutsy.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading comments and I only caught part of it, and it just sounded like a little bit of disrespect. But I'm glad you clarified that up, and we can still be friends.
Come on now. The biggest disrespect I've ever given him was lightning in a bottle, and I know that takes you off. I liked how he played in 17. I was a big fan of how he played in 17.
All right. Here's mine. Would you rather the Vikings go to the Super Bowl and lose, or the Packers go to the Super Bowl and win?
Say that again.
Oh, my gosh.
Would you rather the Vikings go to the Super Bowl and lose, or the Packers go to the Super Bowl and win?
Oh, that's awful.
That's beyond awful.
That's awful.
Yeah, I think I'd rather just die.
Michael Fish, you're first.
That's fucking awful. Give me that Vikings loss. I don't ever want them to make the playoffs again.
You don't want the Packers to ever make the playoffs again?
No. Oh, my God. That's awful.
What about you, Shaq?
That is so sneaky terrible.
I had another one, but I went with that one.
It's tough because I still, to this day, didn't get over that 2017 loss. So it's like seeing us losing the Super Bowl, I don't know if I could actually stomach that. But seeing the Packers win another Super Bowl is worse. So I guess I'd rather see us losing the Super Bowl. I can't stomach watching the Packers make another Super Bowl.
Man, I'm going to brush my teeth for 50 minutes after this show.
You can cut it down. You can do like 30 minutes because if you would have said Packers win the Super Bowl, then that's a little more gunk in your teeth, I think. And I agree with you guys. I'd rather it be the Vikings to lose the Super Bowl, and I've said it many, 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 many times. I just want to experience going to the Super Bowl. I want to experience those 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. I want to be excited that morning waking up to watch the game, even if I lose that excitement after the kickoff because, they returned it 40 yards. But I want to see my team in the Super Bowl, even if that means another heartbreak, and it would be hard. 2009 was the hardest one for me. It wasn't 98. 98 sucked, and I thought that would be the worst it could get, but 2009 was terrible for me. And a Super Bowl loss, it might even be worse because maybe it's a close Super Bowl loss. Maybe we lose on some bullshit at the end, like our quarterback throwing an interception over the middle. I don't know. So it could be a really painful – it could be a really painful loss. I do not want the Packers to win a Super Bowl under any circumstance. I would never root for that to be the outcome over any choice unless it involved my kids. So, yes, give me the Super Bowl loss. It'll suck. I'll cry. I'll be crying here on live. I'll be telling Fish I'm not doing it. He'll be like, yes, you are.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Does it?
Yeah, it's on here. This is why we started doing this.
I'd cry for days.
Yeah.
I'd cry for days. I guess no doubt devastation I will be in. Like I'll probably need depression meds.
Yeah.
I'd rather go Super Bowl.
Just come to aftercare and we'll help you out. And we will only bill you half of what you would get billed from your medical provider.
Or Paris in the championship.
I'm glad to see that. I don't think anybody in the chat picked the Packers win the Super Bowl.
It was close. It's not like it's not far-fetched.
That is
no, it's not. But I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody took the Packers.
Movie. That type of scenario where you have to choose that would be some shit you'd see in a Saw movie.
Want to play a game?
God.
All right, Shaq, lighten up the mood. What do you got for us?
So my question is, if you could choose any player on this team to have an all-pro season, who would it be? And I'm starting with you, Fish.
Thank you.
Okay, one more time.
If you could choose any player on this team to have an all-pro season, who would it be?
All right, I don't want to take the low-hanging fruit because, JJ McCarthy All-Pro means we won the Super Bowl in a blowout fashion. I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to say Jordan Mason. Him having an All-Pro season means that there's been a shift in the culture in like the impetus of this offense, that we went to a run-heavy offense, that we dominated running. The offensive line was dominant. Everything worked, and everything will flow off of that. So Jordan Mason, baby. That's my guy.
What about you, Keith?
Addison, I wanted to go there, but that's not where I'm going. I'm going to go with Fish's guy, Donovan Jackson.
I was thinking that.
Because if he comes in rookie season, he comes in rookie season, has an all-pro year, our line is solidified, especially that left side. We might have the best left side in football if that comes to fruition. We might end up having 2 first-team all-pros on that left side. And, our right side is going to be okay. So we might have the best offensive line. And if we have the best offensive line, that means JJ's got the time, all the time in the world to do what he needs to do back there to have a better than Case Keenum-like season. So go ahead and give me Donovan Jackson getting the all-pro rookie season. And we might have to make Fish do something strange for some change on this live if that happens.
Oh, well, gosh. Fish do something strange. Wait till y'all see the next promo that comes out for this show.
What do you got? Who is your Shaq?
So I wanted to go Christian Darrisaw, but I made a last-second change. I'm gonna go Dallas Turner.
Ooh.
I know. T-Bass is talking like Dallas Turner doesn't really have a starting spot, but if you listen to B-Flow interview, he talked about how Dallas Turner is not really a backup, but he's basically a rotational guy who's basically up there with Grenard and Van Ginkel. So I'm hoping that, we actually get to see more splits with Dallas Turner, Van Ginkel, and Grenard, and to the point where Turner can actually be second on the team in sacks, or even first in the team in sacks, with playing just as many snaps as Grenard and Van Ginkel. Because, even though we have, having Van Ginkel and Grenard on opposite sides, on the same, basically the same position every play, we can move Dallas Turner around. So the but the offense will have to key on where's Dallas Turner, and that gives us more versatility, which B-Flow has been working with this offseason with Dallas Turner, having him learn from different guys, even like Javon Hargrave and John Allen he had brought up.
It would be great to shut up some critics of the fact that we picked him too, wouldn't it, Shaq?
Yeah, and I'm one of them. So
yeah, so shut up, Shaq.
Yeah, shut up, Shaq. Yeah, no, that's a good one too. I mean, I guess there's probably not a wrong answer with that if you're getting a first team All Pro, but we avoid the low hanging fruit. And Fish, you kind of prevented me from doing it by calling it out. I probably would have said JJ McCarthy if you didn't make it like, oh, you're a bitch if you do this. So
that's why I said Fish first, just in case he said JJ McCarthy, so you can't have
I probably would have. Cody, where you at, man? He'll probably answer that in 10 minutes. I think he's behind.
Probably stuck in traffic.
Well, I guess it's going to be a 3-man show tonight. You guys ready?
Where's Robbie?
Doing Robbie things.
Sniping.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into our hot takes. Are either of you ready with yours?
Yes.
All right. Go for it, Fish.
I made an earlier hot take that the Indiana Pacers would win the NBA championship.
You did.
The Indiana Pacers are going to win the NBA championship in 5. Let me say it again.
I'm going to let you.
I made an earlier hot take that the Indiana Pacers were going to win the NBA championship.
You did.
The Indiana Pacers are going to win the championship in 5.
So it's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
My coworker asked me yesterday before the game. He's like, "Who's going to take the series?" I was like, "Whoever wins tonight." And then it ended up being the Pacers. So I'm with you. I don't know if it's in 5 though. That I think the Thunder can get a win. Welcome to Indiana Pacers Uncensored. Can I ask you, do you have any type of fandom to the Pacers when you made that? How'd you end up just making that original prediction? Big basketball guy?
No, I'm really not. I grew up in Massachusetts, and in the 80s, I was a big Celtics fan, but I've just stopped. I really don't pay attention to sports other than Minnesota Vikings football. However, when something just kind of grabs me, and it did, and I couldn't even tell you why, other than seeing a little bit about how they play defense. And I said, oh, okay. And it just kind of grabbed me. Most of my hot takes are just something sinks a hook in me, Fish, and I say, okay, it's just a gut instinct. And it was my gut instinct to say, they're going to win this whole damn thing.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first non-football hot take in Let's Skol history. Maybe. There might have been a Twins one or something.
I remember your reaction. I'll allow it.
I remember that as well. All right, Shaq, what's your hot take?
Tight end TJ Hawkinson will lead all tight ends in touchdowns this season.
That's a good one, and I'm not laughing because your take, but you'll see why when I make mine. I'm not even sure, I don't know if anybody's made that prediction yet. Because there's been some TJ Hawkinson. There's been predictions on here that he might have the most catches or he's gonna have the most yards for tight ends, and now you say touchdowns. And this was mine before you said yours. Which when you first said TJ Hawkinson, I was about to have a fit. And so my take is, Robbie's gonna love this one. My hot take is that TJ Hawkinson is gonna win the Triple Crown among tight ends. Ooh. Meaning he's going to have the most receptions, the most yards, and most touchdowns out of all tight ends. And the last time that was done was Travis Kelce did it in 2022. Mark Andrews did it in 2021. Before that was Jimmy Graham in 2013. So it's happened. Doesn't happen often. Kelce's actually come close to doing it a lot. A lot of times he's been first in two of them and second in another one. So Kelce's the model. And I think that Hawkinson's going to have the kind of season where he's going to compete for that. I mean, he's going to be, wanting to prove, last year he was injured and he wanted to prove, the contract. And let's be honest, he's going to be JJ's safety blanket.
Hey, Shaq, I think with me sniping this hot take a couple of weeks ago in that close call, we have guaranteed that for the next new hot take, for the next 3 weeks, Keith will lead the hot takes to make damn sure nobody jeopardizes.
You should have told me to unplug real quick. Because now I'm not going to let that happen. But you don't even know when. I got to go back and look and see if I made a facial expression when he said TJ Hawkinson. Because I was like, oh my God, he's going to say he's going to lead in all three categories. And I'm fucking pissed. I don't even have a backup. It would have just been all right, well, that's the show. I'll be like, yep, me too.
Yeah, that's too hot for me. I was like, shit. And just him leading is a lot.
Well, I think individually, with you saying that, we do have one of us saying he's going to lead in receptions, one of us saying he's going to lead yards, and now you say the touchdowns. I think individually, we all have him winning the Triple Crown as a team. Yeah. So I kind of just put a bow on it.
It's only a matter of time.
Cody, we missed you. We were going to wait till 1 a.m., but now we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So what's your final word, Shaq?
Thanks for everybody who tuned in tonight. Make sure you leave a like on YouTube or Facebook. Also, you can send us donations at Let's Go Buy Me Coffee, or you can send donations on YouTube by clicking the $, or even hitting the Cash App with $ Let's Go. Any donations appreciated. We're not forcing you to, but we do appreciate all the help. Also, enjoy the non-stressful Vikings non-practice weeks. Hopefully all the players stay healthy and don't get into no bullshit. Addison.
Come on, man. He deserves it. What do you got, Fish?
For Vikings fans, by Vikings fans, this is just a little inside message. Pablo, hope you have a great weekend at Bonnaroo this weekend. The weekend is upon us. Don't beat your dogs. Don't beat your wife. As always, stay safe, and let's go.
I like it. All right. Well, that's the show. If you guys have anything that you guys want us to talk about or comment on, let us know in the comments. Even when the show's over, you can go into the show and leave comments and say, hey, why don't we talk about this? Or I got an idea for a topic. Let us know. Or if you know me on Facebook, find me on Facebook and send me a message. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let's help each other through this offseason. We're going to get through this abyss together. Right, Michael Fish?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, until then, we'll see you guys next week. Let's Skol.
Skol, baby.
Let's go.